So there was so much news. Hold on one second. There was so much news around coronavirus and economic things going on today. I mean, I subscribe to maybe 4 or 5 different news outlets: Guardian, New York Times, Huffington Post, Truth Out, et cetera, right? I have all these news organizations sending me kind of their aggregated headlines for the day. And as I'm looking through the headlines today, nobody, not one article, not one of these outlets were saying the Arctic ice is at its lowest extent ever in history. You know, we might possibly see 1.5 in the next 4 years. That's been, you know, greatly revised because supposedly we were supposed to avoid 1.5 by the end of the century. And we may not even, well, you know, again, if you subscribe to the theory that we're not at 1.5 already, if you believe the official news that we are at 1C right now, we won't make it to the end of the decade, or not even to the middle of this decade, without hitting 1.5C. No news stories around that. Nobody telling people that in the midst of this pandemic, the thing that might actually, the thing that we really should be worried about is climate change inducing some kind of tipping point into the netherworld for everyone, right? Hold on one second. Yeah, it's just, you know, yeah, Trish Kaiser says we're already at 1.5 minimum. I mean, you know, depending on what baseline you're using, there are, you know, a few scientists who will let you know that, yeah, we're probably already at 1.5 and past it. But, you know, as far as like what the official, you know, official media / scientific body is trying to tell you is that, you know, we're at 1C, a little bit below or a little bit above or something like that. However, the World Meteorological Organization just the other day let people in on the secret that we'll probably reach 1.5 in the next 4 years. So they're allowing for the awareness that 1.5 will be seen and or breached very soon. So no, you know, again, no news about that in these news articles I was looking at today. You know, no news around Siberia reaching record temperatures just a few weeks ago, you know, into the hundreds. I mean, literally zero news around climate breakdown or catastrophe. And let me show you this. I want to show you this meme picture, whatever you want to call it, which I found right on the money. So, and I think I talked about this the other day, but I couldn't find it. So yeah, COVID-19, bad tidal wave, recession, a little bit bigger tidal wave, climate change, real big climate, you know, tidal wave, biodiversity collapse. Yeah. These are the waves that people are not even paying attention to right here, right? These are the waves that the, you know, mainstream media will allow you to pay attention to these waves here. COVID-19 and recession. Oh, this is bad, guys. Might be bad. Buckle up. But they don't even want to talk about this one. These larger, more frightening, and here's the really interesting thing about this picture. Behind biodiversity collapse, there's another wave. There's another wave, but they didn't even show it. Do you want to know what that wave says on it? I know what it says. Extinction. Extinction wave. They're not even showing the extinction wave in here. It's bigger. It's nastier. That's where we're at. Sorry to say. Jacob Gordon, according to the 2016 baseline, there's no problem. Well, yeah, of course. Here's the funny thing is that apparently, the global temperature hasn't changed in the last 5 years, even though in the last 5 years we've seen a serious ramping up of extreme weather events and all kinds of problems, ecological problems. But apparently, the global temperature is just kind of flatlined over the last 5 years or so. But in the next 4 years, it could kind of go up quite a bit again. Anyways. So we're going to move on. Here's another interesting graph or chart, if you will. Arctic wildfire carbon emissions for the month of June. So there was a bit of a spike here. 2004, I guess, 5. They've been oh my God. Dramatic demonstration of what climate change means. Siberia is suffering from oil spills, crazy heat waves, wildfires, and microbe and methane leaking, thawing permafrost simultaneously, including more emissions from wildfires in June than Belgium in a year. Yeah. Again, that's where we're at. Moving on. Were you guys able to see that? I don't know if you were. I am Sweetleaf says, as a commoner, it is increasingly difficult to research for accurate information. Well, yeah. But so this is a grave malfeasance on the part of the media apparatus and governments at large, or at least this, our government, I guess. But there's, they can concentrate on coronavirus and the economy and what, all these kind of immediate in-your-face problems. But they're not letting you know that climate change is as much of, if not more so, in every single aspect, a more all-enveloping, all-encompassing problem than coronavirus, right? And why aren't we taking the measures, in the face of climate change that we are for coronavirus? Even if we just took those measures, we could be doing something, but we need, obviously much more extreme measures than that. But here we go, in the next 4 years, they've basically let us know, or let on, that we're going to be hitting 1.5C soon, right? Because they've got to figure out a way to compensate for the fact that they've been maybe playing with the numbers a little bit over the last few years and not telling people exactly how hot we are, because they're really, really trying hard. When did they stop calling it permafrost? That's a good question. Formerly known as permafrost. Hey. Sorry. No. Anyways, let's move on. Yes, lightning rod, it is to keep you from panicking. But I mean, we've got people all in a panic over coronavirus, right? People are freaked out. Listen, people are freaked out. I put myself on the mildly worried spectrum, right? I'm probably not as, on some levels, I'm probably not as worried as I should be about it, but I think it's, seriously something that's affecting people. So it's not a good thing. But I'm saying on a personal, like, gut level, like, I'm just not in a panic mode about coronavirus, but other people are. And it's just an interesting thing to see I have friends who are like kind of on my wave of panic around it, which is like very mild to little panic. And it kind of like, it's really weird and kind of sucks. And, but people seem to be really freaked out about it. And I have other friends who are like, red light flashing, panic, panic, panic. People are really panicked. But the thing is if you actually, the funny thing is that the same people that are super panicked about climate change, about coronavirus, if you let them know how bad climate change is or is going to get or will be, probably not the same level of panic. And I don't know why, because, so I wanted to let you know, I finally watched the Roger Hallam video that everybody was talking about. And my honest, just very quick take assessment of it. Hey, stop it. My quick take assessment of this video is a little bit rambling and kind of all over the place and doesn't really give anybody. It's kind of just like a historical, it's like an overview of like climate change and revolutionary politics, a slight historical overview of revolutionary politics, which is cool because it puts context on how social movements suddenly ramp up into becoming revolutions or whatever. And I think he's tying it all to the XR and what's next for the movement of climate activism and how, obviously, in his mind, climate activism needs to progress into a revolution, some kind of revolutionary political action, or even deeper than that, a revolution in how people think about climate change, which I think he's trying to get at too. But what was the one thing that he said? Oh, now I feel like, here's what he said. One of the good things that I took away from this talk is he said, well, if there's a 10% chance of extinction, the fact that human beings are even allowing, because extinction is forever, and extinction is like everybody forever, right? It's human beings going away forever, and that means you and me and everyone we know. And he's like, they're talking about risk mitigation or risk assessments, as if it's just numbers, and the idea that you're going to allow for a very near future risk assessment, putting extinction at like a 10% chance. He's like, that 10% should be, should be enough for everybody literally to be out in the streets with their pants on fire. Like, that 10% shouldn't be allowable. The idea that human beings are allowing for a 10% chance of extinction is as deplorable, if you will, for lack of a better word, is as deplorable as allowing for a 100% chance of extinction. Because, I mean, that's, extinction is the worst bad ever, right? So if you're saying extinction is at 10%, and okay, we're factoring that in, but, and with the risk level of, risk levels all across the spectrum going, down, of course, how bad is pre-extinction? How bad is on the way to extinction? How bad is, half extinct? Like, it's just, it was a good point that he brought up, basically, was that even the allowing of 10% chance of extinction was a no, right? That should be enough for people to go, no. And here's the other thing, is that beyond the 10% chance of extinction, we are in an extinction event. It just hasn't affected humans yet. This should be in the mainstream media on every, in every outlet that sends me emails every day of, here's your news aggregated for you, to consume as a news consumer. The fact that we are in an extinction event right now should be on the front page of every single one of those outlets every single day, right? Like, yeah, coronavirus bad. Trump bad. All these things bad. Racism bad. Okay, yeah. The death of the entire species of the human race and everything else on Earth. You guys think we might want to have a conversation about that? You think we might want to do something about that? You think somebody might want to write articles about that, perhaps every single day? Anybody? Forest Dweller says, head for the mountains, people. Hurry. Well, you don't have to head for the mountains, but I think that, I think that the irrefutable evidence, the concrete reality that we are currently in an extinction event, not it's going to happen, it's coming our way. We're in an extinction event. We're just the apex predator of the planet, and it just hasn't taken us out yet. Keith Hayes says, but a 10% chance of grandma dying next month does not mean anything to the fools in charge. Yeah, of course. Had Vollmer says, but Kevin, that's just too big. Right. I mean, we all know the problem of conveying this information to people. It's just that, to me, it's just interesting because we see this problem called coronavirus, and look at the global worldwide response to this problem called coronavirus. We must do something about it right now, immediately, because the potentiality of its destructive power was laid out immediately as an immediate threat. And the potentiality of the destructive power of climate change, whether you can feel it or experience it or not right this second, should be laid out pretty bluntly and plainly every single day. Like, I don't get it, but of course, what's to get? Judy Truitt says humans are the cause of the extinction event. If half of humans are taken out by something, perhaps the event, quote unquote, will slow or stop. Yeah, maybe. Irk1 says the wealthy have their techno caves stocked and ready for inhabitation. They do. Overshoot will play out how it plays out. Billions of people have to go either way. Boiled Rope Lamppost says download your personality to a text file. Or, create your personality in blockchain and it'll live forever on the internet. As long as you have power. Kevin Woolard, you're late, but you're here. Hello. Extinction is forever. Kiro Hikes says that could be the name of your next album. Kind of serious. That's kind of serious. Extinction is forever. Violet Crumble, are you asking me, can I give up my car? I cannot. Not right now. But here's the thing though, is that in the face of coronavirus, in the face of COVID, everybody has had to give up going out of their house or congregating in mass or going to work, or, people literally have pretty much given up a lot of their car driving, not driving their cars, period. But a lot of the car driving has ceased. A lot of the plane flying has ceased. If the media and the government were coordinated in a coordinated effort, telling people like, "Hey, here's this thing. It's called extinction. if we don't do certain things right now, there's this thing called extinction." I think that a lot of people would go, "Oh, okay. Tell me more." Tell me more about what I have to do in the face of extinction. They're just not doing it. They're just not telling you. Anyways. But if everybody was doing it together, it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Anyways, let's move on. Some flooding in Japan. Big time. Y'all can see that? I hope you can see that. I mean, massive. Oh, maybe you guys can't see that. Hold on. I love when my buttons go out. I'm going to try this again. You guys will see it this time. I promise you. Here we go. Massive flooding in Japan. Looks frightening to me. And Judy Truitt, I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let's cover the story a little bit. Death toll from record-breaking rains hits 68, Kyushu, Japan. The death toll from the record-breaking downpours on the island of Kyushu in Japan has climbed to 68 on Monday, July 13th. On the same day, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe traveled to Kumamoto prefecture to assess the damage inflicted by flooding and landslides earlier this month. Among the 68 fatalities, 68 were in Kumamoto, which included 14 victims at a nursing home in the Kuma village. The area suffered widespread flood damage after heavy rain on July 4th caused the Kuma River to burst. Not good. At least 10 locations in Kumamoto Prefecture recorded more than 16 inches of rain or 410 millimeters of rain in 24 hours on Saturday, July 4th, 2020. Here's some more footage. Devastation. Devastating. Had Vollmer asked, how much can we control? There's a lot we can't control. There's a lot we can control. And if anybody's familiar with the prayer, if you will, the AA prayer, the Serenity Prayer, the trick is in realizing what you can control, what you can't control, and controlling the things you can, right? And not worrying about the things you can, I guess. Moving on, let's talk about the Three Gorges Dam. Record floods raise questions about China's Three Gorges Dam as China counts the cost of its most punishing flood season in more than 3 decades. So this is a record-setting season. This is not... Every time somebody posts like climate change stuff, there's always some people like, oh, it happens every year. It's, called the monsoon season. Okay, yeah. But this is record-setting in China as well as Japan, as China counts the cost of its most punishing flood season in more than 3 decades. The role played by the massive and controversial Three Gorges Dam, designed to help tame the Yangtze River, has come under fresh scrutiny. Amid some of the heaviest rainfall on record, the Chinese government says the world's biggest hydroelectric plant has reduced flood peaks, minimized economic losses, and slashed the number of deaths and emergency evacuations. But critics say that the historically high water levels on the Yangtze and its major lakes prove the Three Gorges Dam isn't doing what it's designed for. One of the major justifications for the Three Gorges Dam was flood control. But less than 20 years after its completion, we have the highest floodwater in recorded history, said David Shankman. But I don't think that's because of the dam. I think the dam is literally the equivalent of a seawall that, certain places are talking about putting up seawalls so that to combat sea level rise. Just ridiculous, because in the face of climate change, no, all those billions and billions of dollars are literally, you're just pissing that. You might as well just throw that into the ocean. And same goes for this dam. The fact is that it cannot prevent these severe events. So the floods are going to get worse. The dam will be overwhelmed. Yi Jingchun, China's Vice Minister of Water Resources, said at a Monday briefing the detailed scheduling of water discharges from reservoirs, particularly the Three Gorges, has been effective in controlling floods this year. The company running the Three Gorges project also said on Saturday that the downstream water discharges had been halved since July 6th, effectively reducing the speed and extent of water level rises in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze. The total amount of stored floodwater had now reached 88% of the reservoir's total capacity. But parts of the Yangtze, its tributaries, and major lakes like the Dongting and Poyang have hit record levels anyway. Fan Jiao, a Chinese geologist and longstanding critic of the giant dam project, says the storage capacity of the Three Gorges amounts to less than 9% of average floodwater. It can only partially and temporarily intercept the upstream floods and is powerless to help with floods caused by heavy rainfall in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze. Yeah, so that's basically it. I don't know what the condition of the Three Gorges Dam is. I mean, some people reported that it might fail. I don't know. Here's something else from the Taiwan news. Chinese media speculate government will give up Three Gorges Dam. Chinese media were hinting that the Three Gorges Dam has already done its best against the torrential rain and flooding, suggesting the Chinese government was preparing to give up. I don't know what that means. This is from today. A report by website NetEast called on the public to stop criticizing the situation at the dam, which is supposedly the world's biggest engineering project, as it had already done its utmost in the battle against the floods. Chinese media said the Three Gorges project had initially protected the downstream areas of the Yangtze River Valley, but recent torrential rain in the provinces of Anhui and Jiangxi flooded those areas too, neutralizing any potential positive effect of the hydroelectric project. In one village along the river, about 40 residents signed a statement saying they would fight the flood until death. The flooding has seriously affected livelihoods in many parts of China. destroying agriculture, aquaculture, as well as making other economic activities more difficult. According to recent official data, 141 people have died, 29,000 buildings have collapsed, and 2.24 million residents have been evacuated. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know if there's like, I haven't really seen anything about it collapsing. I think it's having, obviously, there are problems, there are issues. We had like a partial or almost collapse a few years ago in California at the Oroville Dam. And that was very big news because if it collapsed, it would have flooded out a large part of the Sacramento Valley. Judy Truitt says, so first they flooded out all the villages upstream, and now they are going to flood out everyone downstream. Good job, China. Yeah. Kuro Hikes, all they have to do is turn that floodwater into ice. Problem solved. You're welcome. What we're going to do is pipe it up to the Arctic and turn it into, we're going to pump it through some big snow blowers and create a new Arctic ice cap. Sound good? Okay. It's going to take us about 20 years to build it. Hold tight, everybody. Jacob Gordon says, sounds like it means they will let it collapse if it is going to. Yeah. I'm not really sure what that means. It's obviously, you know, news coming out of China is always subject to, you know, some kind of official treatment. So, you know, who knows? In the province of ennui, yes, Poppy Davis. You caught that one. So, lastly, this is from Chris Van Steenbergen. A lot of methane release from the soil during the next 4 days. Alaska, Canada, Eastern Siberia, Kara Sea, Arctic Basin, southern part of the Russian Far East. Of course, the areas in red. Methane release. And, of course, this is not good news. Kevin Hester commented the long-awaited showdown with the methane monster looms. I believe it is. I'm sure it's part of the problem with the rapid heating in the Arctic. That we're seeing a very heavy feedback loop kick in right now, which is high temperatures cause melting, melting releases methane, the methane causes high temperatures, and on and on and on. Here's another graph. So this is what the concentrations are, parts per billion, you know, going up past 2,000 some areas. But the rest of it isn't good either because, you know, even the green and the yellows are very high. Very, very high. This entire graph is very high. But yeah, above, you know, this is all above 1,600. I mean, none of this is good. And again, that's a large contributing factor to the situation of higher global heating, global warming, continuing apace, going higher and higher. They need new colors for the map, yeah. Yes, Valhalla, the media will not show this. I'm gobsmacked, flabbergasted, dumbfounded. All of those words. I'm only seeing this stuff like on Twitter. and a few outlets. You know, I see it on Nick Humphrey's page on Facebook. You know, I follow a few people on Facebook, Sam Carana, Nick Humphrey, and I'm in a few other groups, I guess. But yeah, I'm not seeing this on mainstream news outlets. I'm just not seeing it. And it just boggles my mind because the disconnect, the idea that we can globally respond to something like the coronavirus, but we cannot, and we can turn on a dime. So that whole idea that we can't turn on a dime or that we can't turn the Titanic around is actually all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Bullshit. False premise that we can't turn the Titanic around. We just turned the Titanic around globally in this year. Or did we turn it all the way around? Probably not. But we shut down the engines and we, turned hard to port. And, we got a good turn going. So all of that whole idea that we can't do it is all bullshit. It's the coordination of the doing. That's the problem. And the reason why we can't do anything about it in a coordinated effort is because somebody's controlling the information. So we've got to tear the controlling of the information out of the hands of the people that have it by any means necessary. Or create our own avenues of information, which is what we're trying to do here. But this idea that we can't do it is absolute bullshit. Absolute, total, 100% certified FDA grade A bullshit. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel at the links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there, and thanks so much.